What does it actually take to change the world? Not to improve it slightly, not to make a useful product or build a successful company, but to fundamentally, permanently, irreversibly change the way human beings live, work, communicate, and experience reality itself. Most people who attempt this fail completely. Some succeed partially. A vanishingly small number succeed so completely that the world they leave behind is unrecognizable compared to the world they entered. Steve Jobs was one of those people, and the story of how he did it, the genius, the cruelty, the vision, the failures, the obsessions, and the almost incomprehensible creative force that drove him, is one of the most complex, most disturbing, and most instructive stories ever told about a human being in the history of business. Welcome to Book Essence, where we unlock the essence of every book, so you get the wisdom without spending weeks reading. Today, we're breaking down Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, the definitive biography based on over 40 interviews with Jobs himself and hundreds more with the people who knew him, loved him, worked for him, and were wounded by him. Let us unlock it. To understand Steve Jobs, you have to begin where Isaacson begins. Not with Apple, not with the garage, not with the first computer, but with the fundamental wound that shaped everything Jobs ever did and everything he ever became. Steve Jobs was adopted, and while his adoptive parents, Paul and Clara Jobs, loved him completely and unconditionally, Jobs carried the knowledge of his biological abandonment like a splinter beneath the skin, always present, never fully acknowledged, shaping his psychology in ways he himself may never have fully understood. Isaacson argues that this wound produced two of the most defining characteristics of Jobs' personality. The first was an obsessive need for control. Jobs needed to control his environment, his products, his company, the experience of every person who encountered anything he created, with an intensity that went far beyond normal perfectionism. Because somewhere beneath the surface, a part of him believed that if he lost control, if he let go, he would be abandoned again. The second characteristic was an almost supernatural ability to make people believe that his vision of reality was the only reality worth inhabiting. Isaacson calls this the Reality Distortion Field, Jobs' ability to convince people, engineers, designers, investors, journalists, that the impossible was not just possible, but inevitable, that the deadline was not just achievable, but already essentially met, that the product was not just good, but the most important thing ever created. People who worked for Jobs hated this quality when they were inside it, and they credited it for achievements they would never have reached without it once they were on the other side. The story of Apple's founding is one of the most told stories in business history, but Isaacson's biography reveals dimensions that the mythology usually obscures. Jobs and Wozniak were genuinely complementary geniuses. Wozniak was the engineer, a technical mind of extraordinary natural ability who built things because he loved building them. Jobs was something different, and something that the technology world had no real category for at the time. He was a curator, a synthesizer, a person who could look at technology and immediately understand not what it did, but what it could mean, what it could feel like, what it could make possible for people who had no interest in understanding how it worked. Jobs did not invent the personal computer. He understood, before almost anyone else, that the personal computer could be more than a machine for engineers. It could be a tool for everyone, beautiful, intuitive, human. And then he was fired. In 1985, after a series of product failures, escalating conflicts with the board, and a power struggle with the CEO he had hired himself, Jobs was forced out of the company he had created. This moment, which Jobs himself would later describe as the best thing that could have happened to him, is one of the most instructive episodes in the entire biography, because what Jobs did next revealed something essential about his character. He did not retreat, he did not collapse, he did not spend years in bitterness at the injustice of what had happened. He built again, two companies, Next and Pixar, that would each, in their own way, change the world. The years between Jobs' departure from Apple and his eventual return are the years that most of the mythology skips, and Isaacson argues they are the years that matter most. At Next, Jobs built a computer so beautiful, so precisely engineered, so uncompromisingly designed that it was essentially impossible to manufacture at a price anyone could afford to pay. By conventional business metrics, Next was a failure, but the software Jobs built at Next, the operating system, the development environment, the underlying architecture, would eventually become the foundation of everything Apple built after his return. The failure contained the future. At Pixar, Jobs made a decision that looked at the time like a desperate financial move. He bought a small computer graphics division from George Lucas for $10 million, mostly because he needed something to do and believed in the technology. What he actually bought was the future of storytelling. Toy Story, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, a company that would eventually be sold to Disney for $7.4 billion. But beyond the financial outcome, Pixar taught Jobs something that Apple had not. It taught him what genuine collaboration between technology and art looked like. It taught him that the greatest things are not created by one genius commanding everyone else, but by teams of extraordinary people who trust and challenge each other in equal measure. Jobs took this lesson back to Apple, and Apple was never the same. In 1997, Apple was weeks from bankruptcy. The company that Jobs had founded, been expelled from, and watched struggle for 12 years was dying. And then, in one of the most dramatic corporate reversals in history, Jobs returned. What he did in the years that followed is almost impossible to fully comprehend even with the benefit of hindsight. He eliminated hundreds of products, cutting Apple's product line from over 300 to just 4. He made decisions that everyone around him called suicidal and that turned out to be the foundation of the greatest product run in the history of consumer technology. The iMac, the iPod, iTunes, the iPhone, the iPad. Each one of these products did not just succeed commercially, each one fundamentally changed the industry it entered, and in several cases, created entirely new industries that had not previously existed. Isaacson traces the common thread through all of these products, and it is not technology. It is the intersection of technology and art. Jobs believed, with an almost religious conviction, that the most powerful things human beings could create lived at the boundary between engineering and art, between what was technically possible and what was humanly meaningful. The iPhone was not just a better phone, it was a new relationship between a human being and technology, one that felt, for the first time, genuinely natural. And that was entirely Jobs, not the engineering, not the chip design, not the software architecture. The insistence, relentless, uncompromising, sometimes brutal, that the experience of using the product must feel like nothing that had existed before. Isaacson does not write a hagiography, and this is what makes this biography genuinely important, rather than simply inspiring. Because alongside every extraordinary achievement, alongside every product that changed the world, alongside every moment of genuine vision and courage, there is darkness. Jobs was, by the accounts of almost everyone who worked closely with him, frequently cruel. He told people their work was garbage in terms that were designed to wound. He took credit for ideas that were not his. He denied paternity of his daughter Lisa for years, a wound she has written about publicly, and Isaacson does not minimize. He had what the people around him called a binary view of the world. Everything was either the greatest thing ever created or completely worthless. There was no middle ground, no nuance, no grace. And yet, Isaacson also documents carefully and honestly that this same binary intensity, this same refusal to accept anything less than what he could see in his mind, was inseparable from the greatness. The engineers who were wounded by his criticism also produced work they could not have produced any other way. The designers who were told their work was terrible designed things that were genuinely beautiful because Jobs would not accept beautiful enough. This is the most uncomfortable conclusion of the entire biography, and Isaacson does not resolve it cleanly. He simply presents it and asks the reader to sit with the profound discomfort of a life that was simultaneously one of the most creative forces in the history of human civilization and deeply, genuinely, sometimes inexcusably cruel. In 2003, Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and the way he responded to that diagnosis, the decisions he made, the things he prioritized, the way he thought about his own mortality, reveals more about his character than almost anything else in the book. He initially refused surgery, choosing instead a series of alternative treatments that his doctors believed cost him critical months that might have saved his life. This was Jobs' reality distortion field turned on himself, the belief that his will, his vision of what should be true, could override biological reality. It could not. But in the years between diagnosis and death, Jobs produced some of the most important work of his career: the iPhone, the iPad, the App Store, the infrastructure of the digital world that billions of people inhabit today. He died in October 2011, and what he left behind is almost impossible to quantify. Not just the products, though the products alone would constitute an extraordinary legacy, but a way of thinking about what technology can be, a standard for what design should achieve, a proof, expensive, complicated, sometimes cruel, that the intersection of technology and the humanities produces things that nothing else can. Jobs' last words, according to his sister, were simply, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." Whatever he saw in that final moment, whatever realization arrived, he carried it with him, and we are left with everything he left us. Let us bring together the greatest lessons from Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. 1. The wound can become the fuel. Jobs' deepest psychological wounds, his abandonment, his need for control, were inseparable from his greatest strengths. Understanding your own wounds does not require eliminating them. It requires directing their energy. 2. The reality distortion field is real. The ability to make people believe that the impossible is achievable, that the standard everyone else accepts is simply not good enough, is one of the rarest and most powerful leadership qualities in existence. 3. Failure contains the future. The years at Next and Pixar, years of struggle, loss, and reinvention, produced the knowledge and relationships that made the second act of Apple possible. No failure is simply a failure. It is always also preparation. 4. The intersection is where greatness lives. Technology alone produces tools. Art alone produces beauty. The intersection of the two, pursued with uncompromising commitment, produces things that change the world. 5. Genius and cruelty can coexist. This is the most uncomfortable lesson, and the most important one to sit with honestly. Greatness does not guarantee goodness, and the qualities that produce extraordinary achievements can also produce extraordinary pain. 6. Mortality sharpens everything. Jobs' awareness of his own death, even when he resisted it, gave urgency and focus to everything he created in his final years. The awareness that time is finite is not a burden, it is a clarifier. Walter Isaacson closes this biography with the thought that Jobs himself expressed. He wanted to make a dent in the universe. He did. Whether the dent was worth everything it cost, to him and to the people around him, is a question this biography deliberately leaves open. Because the greatest biographies do not give you answers. They give you the full, complicated, uncomfortable truth, and trust you to wrestle with it yourself. That is the essence of Steve Jobs. And that is what we do here at Book Essence. We take the world's most powerful books and unlock their wisdom so you can learn from the full truth of the lives that shaped our world. If this video brought you value, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who wants to understand what it actually takes to change the world. Every week on Book Essence, a new book, a new lesson, a new chance to grow. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing, and keep unlocking your essence. See you in the next one.